What's going on, guys? My name is Ben. Wherever you are, make yourself at home and welcome to my channel. Childishness is not mutually exclusive with maturity. I'm talking about someone who's mature mentally, fully grown, an adult, still having childish qualities. I'm not talking about man-children or their female equivalents either. No, those kinds of people may be physically grown, but mentally, they may as well have never left kindergarten. Yeah, that's going back a ways. Kindergarten is being generous, by the way, because I bet if I asked some kindergartners whether it was okay to hit someone just because they said something they didn't like, most of them would say no. Okay, probably a bunch of adults would say no too, but they wouldn't actually act on it. And I've got several thousand years of human history spanning all parts of the globe that back that ass up on that. Dead ass up on that. Tell me I'm not wrong. No, you can, actually, because I'm not wrong. Pay attention to what I say. Childishness is not mutually exclusive with maturity. You can be both. You can have childish qualities and still be very adult. This isn't a bad thing. Children have very many fine mental qualities, and adults should strive to be more like them. No, I mean that unironically, and I stand by that. They do, and we should. Just because YouTube videos are a one-way communication channel, not including comments, doesn't mean I don't know what you're thinking. But, Ben, why should people act more like children when you said that man-child babies are even more childish than kindergartners? Especially since you just implied that child-man-baby people being mental children and never maturing past that point is the reason why so many bad things have happened in history. Why, man? Why? No. Shut up. Shut up or I'll tell all your mommies on you. I am an adult and I know what I'm talking about. Listen to me. I don't need to explain myself to you, but I will anyways because that is the mature, adult, responsible thing to do, right? Right. And I am all three of those things. So here's what's what, Junior. Try and keep up. Yes, it's true. Very many people, men and women, well into adulthood and basically throughout all history have basically no idea what they're doing, like how to be a real, actual, fully grown and mature adult. Not me, though. Real facts. I know that the real causal underlying issue has nothing to do with being childish, but instead with being a child. That may superficially sound like I just contradicted myself, but in fact, I did not, kiddo. There's perhaps a very subtle but very important difference and distinction between being childish and being a child. Very important difference. The true issue lies with immaturity. But to understand what I mean, we have to know the difference between maturity and immaturity. What is immaturity?
Gee, I can't wait till I go to hikes. Well,
don't you say that. Don't you ever say that. Stay here. Stay as long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it.
Jennifer, why don't you try reading out loud for a minute, okay?
You gotta cherish it. You do.
When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. Words attributed to Mark Twain. You've probably heard a lot of people express this sentiment, or maybe you even feel this yourself to some degree. This point many people hit around their late teens, where they feel like they've stopped in time maturity-wise, almost like a kind of arrested development. They may be 60 years old, but they still feel like they're 16 mentally, and they've never really gotten past that point. They've essentially just been pretending at being an adult their whole lives, or at least they feel that way, like some kind of imposter syndrome. I've never felt this way personally, but again, I've heard this a lot on the internet, and I've heard it in real life to some degree also. I've always felt the opposite. I feel like I'm growing more and more every day in lots of very many wonderful ways, including in maturity and in childishness. I feel like I'm one of the only adults in a world run by children. Like the world is like the Lord of the Flies on a grand scale. Maybe some of you guys feel like that too, or maybe I'm preaching to the children's choir here. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic here. Maturity. What is it? Where is the line between maturity and immaturity? How can you tell a mature adult from an immature one? Or a childish adult from the adult that is a child? All very good questions. I'm glad I thought to ask them. Maturity, derived from the Latin word maturitatem, meaning ripeness, the prefix of im, meaning not of or opposite of. Taken together, we can get immaturity, meaning literally not ripe. I don't think I need to waste any time on delineating the differences between physical maturity and immaturity. I think most people with a working pair of balls in their eyes can pretty much tell at a glance if someone has the body of an adult or a child. I get that in teenagers it can be a little tricky sometimes, but more or less people can tell the difference between a 4-year-old and a 40-year-old, okay? That's child's play. Still, you don't really see with your eyes, do you? No, you perceive with your mind. Far more of the laws of nature exist within the unseen realm than the seen. So how can one perceive the mind of a man or woman to see if they have the correct and fully grown and operating mental functioning of an adult? How does one see which can't be seen? It's easy. They'll show you and tell you. They'll show and tell you, just like in school. You were paying attention at school, weren't you, kid? What do I mean by this? By their actions, you will know them. When you talk to someone and start to get to know them, you'll be able to tell more and more over time how mature they are. You'll get a sense of the level that they're operating at, which becomes more honed and accurate the more information about them you have. One easy way to tell is by gauging their ability to defer gratification. Being able to wait patiently for a better payoff down the road rather than taking the smaller payoff in the here and now is the sign of a long-term and mature thinker. As a mature young man, I am a big fan of deferred gratification. Except for those times when I want something right now and I don't feel like waiting anymore. And then I'm a large proponent of instant gratification. Of course, I have reached such a high level of maturity that I don't mind telling you guys that. Being self-assured and steadfast is another sign of maturity. Reliability and dependability also are very mature qualities. When someone sets for themselves a goal to achieve and uses their care and willpower to get it done, understanding causal factors and their relationships with their subsequent effects, especially negative effects which they don't want to experience, or effects which take a long time to manifest, are good signs too. You know, like someone who can grasp the nature of reality around them and who've learned that their actions have consequences, that's a big one. Being able to anticipate someone's thought processes and actions, what they think and why they think it, is a sign of a person with a very high field of awareness. You know how sometimes you can be speaking with someone or just hearing a conversation like on the internet or something on some kind of deep topic, something with some substance, and you can just tell how that person thinks. You just know what their thinking on the subject is and can completely encapsulate their understanding on the subject. Like you completely understand them and what they're saying, but when you try to explain your own thought process to them, they just don't get it. It's too far above their level of awareness and they can't seem to grasp it no matter how you try to phrase it. Again, that's a sign you're operating on a higher level of maturity and perception awareness than the other person, and your thinking is, at least for now, beyond their level of comprehension. Or you're just talking to some NPC at a level that is way beyond their scripting and programming, but who talks to normies, am I right? Don't get in your head thinking that that makes you a better person than they are. Higher awareness doesn't mean better person, or that your life is worth more than that person. Nor does it mean lesser for that matter too. Adults' lives aren't worth more than the lives of children just because they understand more. The literal or metaphorical man-children kind. Anyhow, now that I've become the very first person in history to have settled definitively the difference between children and adults, you're welcome by the way, I think it's time we graduate from doo-doo diaper crybaby town. You kids are ready for the adult swim. the hard truths, the mature, sensible discussion on childishness.
We're the kids in America. Whoa. We're the kids in America. Whoa. Everybody live for the music around.
I am most unsatisfied.
Yes, Father.
At first, those kids next door were a minor nuisance. That's why I entrusted you with their destruction. But because of your failures, they constantly interfere with my schemes to have adults rule the world.
How do you do, fellow kids? As you can see, if you're watching the video and not listening to it, I'm finally wearing the clothes that truly reflect my own inner sense of myself. These are the clothes I would be wearing if I got transported to the Matrix, which is a rated R movie, by the way. You probably haven't seen it, but I have because I'm a really cool kid, and my parents let me do whatever I want. They're all like, Ben, you're 26 years old, almost 27. Watch whatever movie you want. Yeah, that's right. You're jelly. I've got them wrapped around my finger. But don't give me that look, kid. I know what you're thinking. But, Ben, you said earlier that you feel like you're one of the only adults in a world of children. You're not one of us. You're one of those no-good, stinking, rotten adults. Shut up, Junior. I'm gonna give you the beat down. Don't bother telling your mommy on me either. She won't listen to you because I'm giving her another kind of beat down, if you know what I'm saying. Talk about having someone wrapped around your finger. Not like you would know anything about having sex. Like me, I've read all about it. So here's the sitch, possible. Listen up. I rule this school. Just because I don't feel like a child doesn't mean I can't act like one. It's fun. In fact, I very often have to speak like a child just to be understood by most adults. You know the kind of adults I'm talking about. The kind that aren't really. Ew, modern adults. They give me the ick. You don't want to be like one of those icky vickies, do you? Don't worry, kid. I like you. I'll show you the ropes. I mean, besides, your mom has done so much for me, I feel like I owe it to her. Here's what they don't all understand. Children actually have very many fine and kick-ass qualities, which far too often they lose as they grow into adulthood. Not to mention far too many fine and ass-kicking qualities that adults should have that they never developed growing up. It's a nightmare scenario where most people can't handle any of the challenges or responsibilities of life and can't derive any of the joy or magical wonder out of life that they used to. They can't manage life and they can't live it. Talk about a lose-lose. Adulthood has become a perpetual, mirthless, gray adolescence where most just drift through the rest of their lives trying to do what they think is right without ever knowing what's wrong. But don't worry, kid. Here's some color for those cheeks, and it ain't gonna be for me spanking your ass, so calm down. All you have to do is grow up and be childish. I'll give you the tips and tricks that'll help you survive school.
Coming up, looking out, I'll survive, no doubt. Never fear, bring it on, break it down, what's in my way?
I can survive this. Just have to avoid being embarrassed for the rest of the day, and everyone will forget. Oh, no, stop. Someone stop the faucet. No, it splashed from the thing and the gum and the...
So how do you stop yourself from becoming a man-child? It's easy. You just have to become a child of man. Son of man, a man in time you'll be. Using the greatest strengths of adolescence with the supreme power of true adulthood by activating the power of my polymerization card. Here's some of the powers kids have over those stupid adults who used to have those powers, but somehow, unfortunately, lost them somewhere along the way. Take note. Kids are absolutely full of bright, positive energy, and they basically never run out. They just keep going endlessly. An adult fully hopped up on coffee and sugar has absolutely nothing on the energy of a child just at their base level, without even giving them one single pixie stick. I mean, children literally run circles around them. They have such a zeal for life and for living it too. They're such a joy to be around. They love themselves and they love being themselves, just like me. They love being children and they're excited to grow up strong into full adults. They dream big and they dream often. They're so creative and so imaginative, they make sure to live their dreams too, in real life. One day they're pirates setting sail on the ocean blue, the next they're living life as every animal in the zoo. That's because playtime is work time for a child. Important work too, the work of being who and what they truly are. How many adults have forgotten to do that work? They need to stop playing around and get to playing around is what I say. Work it out. Children love learning, and they can't get enough of it. Once they find something they like, they don't stop learning more about it. Whether it's superheroes or it's fairies, everything about it, absolutely everything will be known. I know when I was a little Ben Jr. and I really fell in love with something, whether it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Or The Lord of the Rings, or the Zombie Survival Guide, or like a million other things, I would just completely immerse myself in it. I would soak in absolutely everything I could about it like I was a sponge, which is a trait I'm proud to say is one I still possess to this day. So who says innocence is lost? Mine isn't. Yours shouldn't be either. You could still be a grown adult and proudly possess all these bright, shining qualities, even more bright and shinier, like even now that you have the wisdom, courage, and power of an adult Link. Adulthood isn't some forbidden fruit that if you eat it, you have to leave the Garden of Eden forever. If you think that, I've got a nice trouser snake you can wrap your head around this eve, dingus. I'm more innocent and pure and sweeter than a honey sugar kiss from a beautiful princess frolicking in a fairy tale forest surrounded by cute woodland creatures. Suck my cock. Okay, look. Check this out. This is my favorite book of all time. The Little Soul in the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. Best book I ever read. Gets me every time. I love reading. I've gone through shelves and shelves, and this is the best one, and it's for children. And I'm not ashamed to say that. It doesn't make me any less of a man. If anything, it helped make me a hell of a man. It's about a little soul who wants to be what it already is, which is why it resonates with me so strongly, because that is exactly what I always want to be all the time. All I am. It's my channel's name, kid. Pay attention. That shouldn't be a surprise. I'm not going to spoil the book for you, but you could do it. Shine bright, little soul. You go light 'em up, little light. Anyways, if you're interested in the book, which all of you should be because it's the best one, I'll leave a link down below to a full reading of it on YouTube. So then you guys can learn how to be what you never weren't. Alright. One sec. Check this one out too. This is making me happy. I kind of feel like a kid showing all this to you. Even though I'm not one, I'm a big man. I'm a big man. Alright, show and tell time, class. This is my favorite movie of all time. Ponyo! Ponyo on the Cliff by the Sea, made by Studio Ghibli. It's a movie about a little girl who's a fish. Best movie ever. Children's movie. Or a family movie, or whatever you want to call it. Unironically, I have teared up every single time I've ever watched this movie. It's that good. Which is not the same thing as me crying. I don't cry watching this movie. I just get tears in my eyes. It's completely different. It's completely different. Yes, it is. Shut up. Even though Ponyo is a fish, she wants to be a human, which is exactly why it resonates with me, because that's exactly what I want to be. I want to be a human. I already am a human, and I want to be even more of it. I love being a human. I mean, I know I said in my first video that I was an angel, which is true, but I'm also a human. I incarnated down here on Earth as a baby and everything. I swear to God, I'm a human. For real, you guys. Actually am. A really good one. An adult one. Surrounded by child ones. A human angel. Whoever said humans can't be angels? I sure didn't. And you kids listen to me, right? I know what I'm talking about. I'm a human. Sometimes my friends make fun of me because whenever I'm playing some fantasy or science fiction game and it lets you pick what race you want to be, like in the game, I always pick human. Every time. I'm all like, wow, I can be anything I want to be in this game. I want to be a human. I love humans. And they're all like, sighing, all disappointed, like, ew, Ben, you want to be a human? Again? Ugh. Disgusting. I bet vanilla is your favorite flavor of ice cream. Which is cherry vanilla, but that's not the point. The point is that Ponyo is a good movie, which is bright and optimistic and wholesome fun for the whole family, adults and children, and adults who harness and incorporate the awesome pure power of their own inner child. And especially that I don't cry whenever I watch it. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I've been trying to say this whole time. Best movie ever. Alright, I've said pretty much all I have to say, for right now anyways. I will find more things to say. Thanks so much to all of you who stayed to the end of the video. You're all part of the Cool Kids Club. Say thanks to your mom for me too, kid. Thank you to all my fellow humans for liking and subscribing. You're all true angels. Childish true angels. That's high praise. Comment down below what your favorite book and movie and ice cream is, and you better all be here for the next video, or the next time I see you on the playground, I'm going to push you down and kick sand in your face. No, I'm not a bashful tsundere. Shut up. I don't even like you, Baka. But you better come and see me anyways. Until the next episode.